Right. Morning, guys. Welcome to the Talk It Up page. Today, we are going to do something very different. It's not so much about getting doctors in to talk about how this pandemic will be eventually, or talk about cures that spurs around. But today, we're going to talk about marketing, and we're going to talk about marketing during and post pandemic. And we are very, very lucky today that we have, Maverick to be with us today, and he's basically specialist in this area. And then, he has been in this industry for quite a while, and he has done a lot of B2B and B2C with high flying colors deals. And then, he's also doing business developments and as a marketing director in different branches. So we're very, very honored to have you, Maverick. We want you to introduce yourself a little bit to our audiences.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I need to live up to that introduction, right? Yeah, so a bit of introduction. Well, the easy ones would be ex-Buddhist monk, single dad, college dropout, so all that before 30. And so they say that once you start a business, a couple of times you lose count. So my business partner, Dr. James, he started like 80 over businesses. At one point, he just stopped counting. I think I stopped counting, but my current venture should be the 9th one. So I'm still quite far away from my business partner. Yeah, so marketing is, it's something that I didn't really study for, but I've always been interested in psychology. So if you ask me, technology can change. Like the fax machine is dead. The direct mail, I think, is still surviving. Newspaper was one of the big things back then, but it's not really happening right now. Then now there's like social media. There's so many different channels, right? Technology will always change, to be frank, but human psychology will always remain the same. If you have studied like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, for example, it's correct 50 years ago, it's correct 500 years ago, it's correct even now. It's just different ways of expressing those needs. So the way you package their form of enlightenment, for example, has to be different. So I think once you understand the psychology of people, it's actually the cornerstone of really being a good marketer, at least according to myself. So yeah, cool. So yeah.
Okay. As you can see, COVID-19 is at the forefront of everyone's mind at the moment, and we're officially living, in the midst of a pandemic, and almost everyone has been affected. And whether you're self-isolating, whether you're working from home, or are anxious about what the future might hold, and the chances are that COVID-19 has already, affected you and I in some way, shape or form. But the $1 million question is that how will all of this go on and fall, and how will it affect the marketing sectors, or the marketeers, or people that do branding, or people that do sales per se? How do they strategize the entire thing during and after the pandemic? So let us move on to question one. Question one says that how does COVID-19 pandemic affect marketing sector, especially making marketing strategy nowadays?
Oh, okay. So because end of the day, I think, like I mentioned earlier, we are still dealing with humans. So until we start selling to robots, I think the formula will remain the same. Of course, where businesses need to understand right now is that whatever you were offering like a month before, you cannot offer now because the times have changed. So like an esthetician, for example, or beautician, like you cannot do a promo for like, hey, come to my clinic, come to my place to look pretty for your husband and all that. But it would have worked a month ago, but it wouldn't work now because people will say that you're insensitive, right? But if let's say they were to tweak the message and say something like, these are some three simple steps where you can keep yourself hydrated at home without using too much makeup, using natural ingredients. So that will be a message that is more relevant right now. So if you ask me, marketeers would have a really fun time right now if they are really good in understanding psychology. So if let's say you are a leadership coach, so you can talk about team building, you can talk about culture and all that a month ago, but now it's that how the heck do you communicate with someone over Zoom? Like how do I coach someone over Zoom? So that is a timely thing. So to put on the marketing hat is always to ask, okay, the truth is that your customers don't give a shit about you. They don't care about your product. They don't care about anything. They are human nature. If you understand fundamentally, we are selfish. So if you were to tell me something that blah, 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 and I'm like, Yeah, but how does that benefit me? If there's no benefiting to me, I wouldn't even listen to you. So let's say if I'm talking to a salesperson and a salesperson who's struggling right now with the COVID-19, I will say something like, hey, do you know that there are 94 different sales strategies, but only 6 are effective during these times of crisis? So that will immediately make the salesperson like, oh really? What's the 6? So that would be relevant, you see, so for this period right now. And so the good thing, I think what marketers need to understand or what businesses need to understand is that, yes, there are certain restrictions. Like for example, geographically or logistically, you cannot do certain things. You cannot open shops and all that. So one exercise that I would normally advise people to do in these times of crisis is to draw a line on the wall. Just make sure you don't tell your wife about it. And then basically start sticking up, like just brainstorm ideas, like with the team, just brainstorm ideas, put it on the post-it note and just stick it on one side. And then basically go through the list. Okay, whatever you cannot do, just move it to the other side. You cannot do not because of it's a stupid idea. It's just cannot do because currently you can't fulfill it. So fulfillment, no joke, is an issue. We kind of need to sort that part out. So like dentists, you can do stuff. So no one can come in. So how can you do other stuff on top of dentistry? So that's the part where marketers and business owners need to understand. And I think this is going to be a big reset. I think 6 or 12 months down the road, we'll look back and realize that, man, this is something that has literally changed the world. And it has, because prior to this, people may prefer a face-to-face meeting, but now we are all forced to use Zoom. And guess what? If you're thinking that people will go back to normal, like, oh, after this, we're going to go and yum-cha and have coffee again, just to talk about business, they'll be like, hey, Darren, can we just do it over Zoom and get it over with in like 15 minutes? Because human beings are creatures of habit. So once they are used to having that habit, and okay, another example is food delivery. So there are some people who will never try food delivery, me included, but in this current climate, how the heck I'm going to eat if I don't try food delivery, right? So after trying food delivery, I realized that, nah, it's actually not that bad. It's actually quite good. So the next time when I'm lazy to go out to buy food, I will think about food delivery. So that's why if you understand psychology and how the habit has changed, you can totally capitalize on the opportunities.
Well,
yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I mean, that it's a very good piece of advice. I think a lot of time we tend to look into, we tend to follow the trend, but we never do a backward reverse and see how human nature actually works, from the basic, and how we should understand them. That is the pro and cons of the pre-pandemic marketing ground that we were in. Right. I think. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to question 2. With so much changing rapidly during this tough time, what action can brands take on to serve and grow their customer base, or mitigate risk and take care of their own people?
Okay, there's multiple questions over there. So, so if the business requires some pivoting, my personal recommendation for the business owners is don't romanticize your product too much. Like if you are so hard up that I can only serve my customers this way, I can only do it like this. Dude, you can't fulfill. Like you're a dentist, you're an esthetician, you're a masseuse, you can't fulfill, you cannot make money. You have to wake up and do something else. So, so you have to pivot to do something else. So I've seen all you can eat buffets over here. So obviously you can't basically bring a whole line of buffets to the customer's house and with a pot, or they'll be stupid, right? So another way to do it is that, can you cook something with the extra ingredients that you already purchased, and do, bento boxes and do lunch sets or dinner sets just to go through the current time. And you can be stubborn, so that they can be, oh no, we are the buffet people, we don't do stuff like that. But then you die lah. It's your choice, because you romanticize the business too much. Because end of the day, the customers, they may want to, look, I would die for a steamboat right now, but I can't do it. I can't go to your outlet to have that steamboat, right? So I think for business owners, the behavioral flexibility is important. Like, okay, this is my business. You can take this opportunity to become a serial entrepreneur and start something on the side. So like there's this client that I have who owns a stationery shop. Obviously it won't work because nobody can, maybe you can order stationery, but that's about it. But think about it, because of the lockdown, parents, like you're a parent as well, So sometimes you realize that, well, my kids are cute, but if I overexpose myself to them, suddenly become not cute anymore. They're like, monkeys all over the place. They have so much energy, right? So my recommendation to him was to you know what, kids, they are spending a lot of time on devices because it's interactive. But if you teach them how to draw, what you can do is that you put a YouTube video teaching them how to do something. It could be activity together with the parent. And then as a stationery shop, I will pack all the stuff and I'll ship it over to your house. So you don't have to go out and hunt for 0.2 pens or this particular conqueror paper and all that. I will ship everything to you. So yes, is he still a stationery business in a way, but he has become a virtual art class and a stationery supplier in the process. So I think it's just thinking a bit out of the box. I always blame the education system because they love to put us in boxes to contain one teacher to 40 students. So I always credit my mild success is because I ponteng school a lot. I'm never in school. Even when I'm in class, mentally, it already ponteng somewhere already. So that's already something else. So that's something from the business point of view, what they can do. What was the earlier question again? There's like a 2 or 3 part questions over there.
The first part is to grow the customer base. The second part is to mitigate the risk. And the last part is to take care of their own people. Yep.
Okay, so mitigating the risk would be, it's follow health, procedures, no touching and all that. That one falls into place. But I think right now, if you cannot fulfill the order, let's say, for example, you're an esthetician and you can't fulfill it, and you have a certain marketing budget every month, like maybe you set aside 20 to 30,000, it will be highly insensitive for you to talk about, hey, come to my shop and I'll do makeup for you, right? But what they can do is they can do social work. Like, for example, help out the frontliners and record a video of them helping the frontliners and use the ad money to boost that content. So then the customers will look at it, wow, okay, I didn't know my doctor actually cares so much and all this. So yeah, so human beings, when we buy something, we are looking for that justification, you see. So like iPhone, it's expensive. Like to say an Android phone can't do the exact same stuff, you can, an Android phone can do it. But the thing is that Apple has long justified if you use an iPhone, you are the cool cat. You're the cool kid on the block. You're sexier. You become more sophisticated, and it's a form of justification, you see. So the moment if let's say I were to question you, hey Darren, why are you spending so much on an iPhone? And if let's say you don't have that justification, you will feel like, yeah, actually kind of stupid for me to spend so much on an iPhone. But because you have points, you see, these apps, they are easy to use because it's user friendly. Everything backs up to the iCloud. Even if I lose my phone, everything is there because Apple have given you the bullets to basically justify your purchase. So same thing as esthetician. People ask, hey, how come you go to this esthetician when they are more expensive? Well, you know what? During the COVID-19, these guys actually go and help out the frontliners, and I feel proud. I feel proud supporting them. So that is one thing that businesses can do. It's not even out of the box. It's because you have 50,000 on marketing ad spend every month that you cannot spend and you want to spend, but you cannot spend. So why not use it to create content that will build loyalty? And then they will start sharing with their friends and all that. And you know why I choose this doctor? Guess what? During COVID-19, they were doing epic social shit. So yeah. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's come back to a matter of choice. You can have the 50,000 of budget and you can keep it during this pandemic, or you can use it for, better version of output, to just help up a little bit in this kind of scenario, which really makes sense to me. All right, let's move on to question 3. Question 3 says that, many have remarked that content marketing is so important during this COVID-19 pandemic. Tell us, what do you think?
Oh, yes, it is because, okay, now you have additional eyeballs for every dollar that you spend because everybody is at home. They have nothing to do. They are supposed to be working, but they don't know how to work without a boss supervision. So they're spending more time. Actually, it has gone through the roof as well in terms of engagement. If you just wake up at 5, because I wake up at 5, I like to look at internet stats. In the 5 hours itself, there could easily be 8 billion video views already all over the world. So which means, one person has actually watched one video on YouTube in just 5 hours, right? That's just crazy. So the truth is that so the attention of the customers are actually a lot on social media right now. So they could be scrolling through their phone. So they may not want to buy something because because they are locked down. They cannot enjoy the service. Like AirAsia selling travel tickets. It's kind of weird because I can't even get out of my house. But that doesn't mean that AirAsia can, hey, you know what? I can start painting dreams for you, because once the lockdown is finished, these are like the top 7 places that we did a mass poll of 1 million people, and they all say that these are the 7 places they want to go. And you are like, okay, hey, what's the 7th place? I also want to go and have a look at it. So that is also content, because they start planting seeds in the mind. So the moment I can travel, man, these are the 7 places I want to go. So that's why I think, and people are in the consumption mode right now, which is, for market leaders, is actually bad. We shouldn't be consuming, we should be creating content like what you're doing right now. But the truth is that 98% of people go to social media to consume content. So since they're already there anyway, might as well you just create content to please them, to make sure there's something that's relevant and something that normally they may not have the time to watch you, but because now they're sitting at home, they have.
Which is true. I mean, now that they have all their time, with the phone in their hand, and basically they just scroll up and down, and same content they might just watch it a few times now because they have more time and sitting at home.
Correct.
And I like to relate this question to question number 1 that you have told us that it is again a habit. Once you create something out of it, like you keep feeding content to people now, and eventually after they've watched several times and dates, it becomes a habit. It comes into you, and you just have it's just so automatically you're going to purchase, or you're going to understand, you're going to watch it, you're going to learn, and somehow along the way. So that is I think very, very important. That's why I think content marketing is a lot of people say content is king, which I think it applies a lot now at this very pandemic moment. If you create a lot more content that is relevant to people, content is really king. And okay, move on to question 4. I've read a lot of articles saying that e-commerce brands that has already started e-commerce way long ago, and they are actually could benefit from this new shopping habits that people has been doing during this pandemic pandemic period. So what is your thought? Do you think most of the e-commerce brands are doing well, or only relevant, or only essential goods are doing well?
Only essential, to be frank, because right now, okay, there are a couple of phases, because today is the 8th, right? So 2 more days, I heard they're going to do a check to see whether the lockdown is extended. So for the first 2 weeks, people are in the buying spree. It's like, hey man, I sit at home, I'm bored, I got money coming in, my company is still paying me salary, I got a job, let me spend stuff. So the first 2 weeks is probably kind of awesome. And then the last 2 weeks is like, oh, okay, I didn't know that it's going to be extended. Let me be a bit careful with what I spend. And the next 2 weeks is like, holy shit, it could extend for like a longer time, right? So the behavior would be different, obviously. So some would want to conserve more, and then they're like, okay, let's buy essentials and all that. But here's the thing, if people look at your item as a luxury, of course they will never buy it, because like, man, times are tough, I'm not going to buy a luxury item. But if they somehow see it as a necessity, then it's different. So like take coaching, for example, business coaches, obviously in most of the time it's a luxury, because hey, you know what, Darren, I got a business coach and I pay like 5,000 a month, and he's someone I can talk to anytime. But when shit hits the fan, when times are not good, then you'll be like, oh, okay, suddenly the 5,000, I can save it. I cannot pay this guy, and maybe I didn't get much value as well. It's just a guy that I can talk to my friend as well, right? But so the coach will need to pivot. If the coach is still saying that, oh no, but you need someone to talk to and stuff like this, it doesn't work. But if the coach said, hey, you know what, I just came up with this crisis innovation framework to basically guide businesses through during tough times, because a lot of marketing strategies out there may not apply during this period, but there are some that will do really, really well, like webinars, for example. So then at least you are proving yourself to be still relevant and a necessity, because I'll be like, shit man, if I cut off Darren, then I'm missing out this opportunity. So, and then the business coach must be smart enough to say something like, if you look past in history, more millionaires and billionaires are born during times of crisis. Alibaba came up, Uber, Airbnb all came out in the past 2008 recession. So if you look back in history, right, so there's always a downtime where a lot of people capitalize on it. They bought properties at a very cheap price and then it went up. So if you don't hang out with me, if you don't get my service, I can't tell you which property to buy or how to get the loan finance, and you lose out. So immediately in the mind of the client, this coach has become a necessity, and then the justification starts.
Well, I totally agree. I can see a lot now on social media of how coaches are moving into this part of content to tell people how to capitalize during this pandemic period of time, which is of course it's relevant to a lot of people, whereby they can spend more time to listen, they can spend more time to understand better, and of course some they make it, and some might just listen and they reserve for later use, which is very true. All right, move on to our last question for today. Question 5. How should influencers or Instagrammers and also YouTubers stay relevant during and post COVID-19 pandemic?
It may still go back to sounding like a record player, because it is always have to be timely information. So the influencer, let's say a mom influencer or whatever they call themselves. So basically they talk about mommy stuff all the time. So in this time for crisis, it will be stuff like, hey, how best grocery places, grocery stores that deliver to your doorstep, how to prepare keto meals with limited stuff, what if your kid is allergic to this, how can you prepare contents like this? So because people are, on one hand, you have the customers or you have the viewers that have already given you more attention. If you give more content that's relevant, you match them, which is good. And then the brands will actually come to you and say, hey man, while everyone else is asking people to buy shoes and buy handbags, you're actually giving information that's relevant. Can we partner up with you? So that's what influencers need to do right now. So the keyword, if there's one thing that your listeners can understand, is that you kind of need to ask yourself, whatever message that I'm giving out, whatever offer that I'm doing, is it timely and is it relevant right now? If it's not, then scrap it. It doesn't work. So because everyone's attention is, they may seem relaxed, but they have this uncertainty in their mind. It's like, shit, do I have COVID-19 or am I going to lose my job? So then if you give them assurance that, hey, these are some simple e-commerce ideas that you can start at home to weather the storm and stuff like this. So normal times, they may not pay attention because, hey man, I'm a head of department. Why should I worry about starting a side hustle? But right now, if you notice in a VSS, the guys on the top will always get fired first. So they're like, oh man, if I say this is extended, so they will fire the top guy. They can still keep 1,000 guys at the bottom, right? So, then they'll start panicking. So you start injecting idea into them, like this. I just said, if you look at history, every time there's a VSS, the top goes first. They always trim the top, the fat first, right? So if you are the fat, a couple months of lockdown and somehow the company can function surprisingly well without you, guess what? They will cut you off. So why not do something on the side first as a padding? If it lifts off, it could be a side hustle. You can keep your job and the side hustle. If not, it can become a full business, full on. So rather than binging Netflix is going to be there. So my take is that when I'm closing to retirement, I basically have Game of Thrones to watch, because I've never watched a single episode of Game of Thrones. So I have about 7 seasons over there. I have like Westworld, all stood up for like the later parts of my life. I don't know, by then maybe we have cryogenic treatment that they will freeze me. Just play the Netflix on loop when I'm frozen, right? But I think right now, we can still interact, we can still do stuff, go out and create stuff. I'm not asking people to be a workaholic, but I would question the time spent in front of a TV. So unless you watch the show and you do a review of it, okay, that's good, you're a movie buff, right? But you're just consuming fake news and all that. I think it's just useless. So fake news is one thing that people are throwing around. Like, we are doing this on a Zoom call, and there have been talks out there saying that Zoom is not safe, asking you to uninstall, and there was a statement from the government agency or something. they were asking you to be careful and set a password. Nobody asked you to uninstall Zoom, and people just exaggerate. And I just hate people like this because I don't know whether they're trying to, like Trump is still calling the COVID-19 a Chinese virus. No, it's a global, there's no race to it. There's no race to a virus. So, and I don't know whether they're taking a hit at Eric Yuan because Eric is Chinese and he's running Zoom and his shares doubled and people just want to come on, man. It's like, so I think we are, so I will question education. Look, I'm a dropout, so I couldn't be very smart because I'm a dropout, right? And yet, my mom had done a good job of making sure I verify information first. Like, is this logical? And yet I see people with PhD and doctors spreading around fake news and like, why are you spreading this stuff? Have you ever done the research? Oh no, just because my in-laws sent it to me and I sent it out. Look, use your freaking intelligence for something. Then if not, tell your PhD is obviously useless and just, you know, just go brain dead. And you can be in a coma as well. There's no difference. The whole purpose of education is so that we can make educated decisions, you know, rather than, because 1,000 people are saying it and, it must be true. Sure, man. They could be lying to you, so you never know. Again, I like long answer to your short question.
I really like how you respond to the last part because that is what I have in mind too. But just that, you know, somehow a lot of people take like, you know, fake it till you make it, you know, for granted, and you lie until you make it in a way.
But you're still a liar. You're still a fake. When you make it, you're still a fake, right? So, so I never really. I do get it. Certain things requires you to get out of your comfort zone. That's not faking it. You just being honest. Darren, this is the first time I'm doing a presentation. I'm really, you know, I'm jittery all over and all that. But I promise I'll do my best. I've already done the practice and all that. And here goes. So this is a totally different, authentic approach to it because I upfront already told you that, you know, rather than, I'm confident, you know, I run up and stuff like this, I pump music. You're trying to fake it, people can tell you are fake lah. So after living as a fake for a very long time, you have schizophrenia. You don't know which character you are anymore, right? So you become a method actor of your own life. Well, that's a good quote actually. Let me write that down. You become a method actor of your own life.
So we've come to an end of this session with Maverick, and then you know, we just want to thank you for the time. You know, we are so glad that we are able to, at least for myself, these are all the questions that I have in me that I think I need a outlet and platforms to generate them, and that I have, you know, you with me in the Zoom conversation, and basically you have laid out, you know, everything that I need to know and dive in a little bit more deeper with me. And I believe a lot of people out there will also need to know basically the same. I believe somehow rather they have the same question in mind that they will always ask, be it a salesperson, be a marketing person, you know, going back to the office after the MCO or working from home. I think they'll ask themselves like, you know, how am I supposed to make things better? And my boss will definitely ask them to come up with ideas to make things better, to turn that situation around in 180 degrees. And I certainly don't think that, you know, anyone can actually do like a total overturn of the entire situation. But I think from, you know, words from you that how I would sum up is that, you know, we have to think out of the box and take, you know, every step at a time to go back to the basic, to understand human being nature better, and it reflects on how, you know, you do your marketing planning on a new tracks. That's how I would put it.
Yeah, that's a pretty good summary there.
Okay, and I'm still very happy to be able to speak to you know, alumni. Even though you say that you're a dropout, but you know, it's always good to speak to someone from the same institution. Let's say, you know, it's like I've been talking to a few be it, you know, coaches or speakers that eventually I found out that, hey, you guys are all my seniors in different years, even though we're from different courses of different faculties, but you know, everybody feels like we're from the same institution. I would check them, you know, we are doing okay.
Yeah, I think human beings are born survivors. It's just that we got complacent over time. Then You know, of course, there are failures as well. I mean, there are people who are successful. I think in every university, there's always a mix. Are there people who failed coming out from Harvard? Yep, there are. So, it doesn't mean an Ivy League school guarantees anything in life. But I think if you let the past defines you, you will only be as good as the past. But I think every day when you wake up, you do have a choice to, you know, become something different. And I think this whole COVID-19 situation tells us that, because I think I will close it off with this good quote as well. So one of my earliest mentors told me this, is that every day when you wake up, it's either the world changes you or you change the world. Make the choice. Yeah.
I will take that. I will take that very, very seriously. I mean, at this point of time, you know, you just want to be changed by the world. You don't want to be, you know, hit by all the negative news when you turn on the TV or even social medias. Once again,
here's a trick. You can always switch the TV off. You can always switch off your social media as well. Sometimes we forget there's an off switch for those kind of stuff.
Which is true. Which is true.
Yeah.
Yep. Is there anything else that you want to top up for the time being, or?
No, I think we are good. I really thank you for the opportunity to, you know, to speak to your audience as well, and coming from a different kind of perspective. Because perhaps your audiences are more, you know, they could be working in the company, they have some form of uncertainties as well, like, you know, what do I need to do and all that. So, hey, venture something, because I guess I'll end with this. Airbnb started off as a stupid idea. Who the heck would want to stay on the couch of a stranger? Or Uber, you are already drunk coming from a club and you are actually allowing a stranger to drive you home. But guess what? Those are some of the most valuable companies we've seen in the last 10 years. So sometimes the dumbest ideas are the ones that actually work, because nobody else have thought about it.
All right. I like that summary too. So thank you so much, you know, again for your time. And we hope, you know, we will speak to you again, you know, in a different topics eventually. And then enjoy the rest of the day. And always stay safe, and say hi to your son, William. And hopefully I'll get to meet you in person and see him in person too.
Awesome, man. Thanks, Darren. You have a nice day. Because your family and daughter as well. Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.